spots up and nails it.
Bodies inside, Aaliyah Boston. How good has Aaliyah Boston been in 2025?
Aaliyah Boston already knew where to go with the basketball as soon as she caught it. Clark on glass.
Nice lead there. Clark to Howard for two. Dishing to home. Extra feed Clark. A deep three. You bet.
At the top. Coming in. On the baseline.
Off on a three. Long rebound. Mitchell. You're not going to catch her. Off the hole. Dead. Fire. You bet. Clark the flick ahead. Oh, beautifully done. Touchdown Fever.
Here we go. Hello and welcome inside the studios of WTHR here in downtown Indianapolis. I'm Dominic Miranda, and we are pleased to bring you this Indiana Fever pregame special ahead of the Fever's game tonight against the New York Liberty. It's the last game before the WNBA All-Star break. Remember, that's taking place right here in Indy, and we have a lot to get into here tonight. Obviously, top of mind for the Fever fans and WNBA fans alike, the health status of Caitlin Clark yet again here in the first half of the season. We have boots on the ground in New York for you tonight. Our Eli Gain is at the Barclays Center for this one. Eli, I think everybody's heart sank a little bit late in last night's game. We know that Caitlin Clark is officially out tonight for this one with a right groin injury. What are you hearing out there on the East Coast, and what's the outlook on tonight's final game of the first half for the Fever?
Yeah, Dom, without doubt, I'll mention it this way. The vibe a little bit, it's kind of a bummer heading into this game, right? So we started earlier today. The Fever sent out a press release saying that Clark would be questionable. Then you had your spirits up a little bit, and then that news came down within the last couple of hours to where she was ruled out. Now, the thing is, there's obviously a lot of Indiana Fever fans here that are wanting to see Caitlin play, and there's a lot of fans who are just not going to get that opportunity. And this was, as Dom referenced, going back to last night where everyone's heart sort of dropped a little bit. It was with less than a minute left in that win over the Sun. She had an assist to Kelsey Mitchell and then pulled up limping a little bit, walking back down the floor, and you could see that she was visibly frustrated. She was holding back tears. She was on the bench with a towel over her head. And you just sort of felt for her because it's been a long season of injuries, and it's something that she's not used to. I remember before this season, she hadn't missed a game since her sophomore year in high school. So tonight, this will be her 11th missed game of the season. She missed 5 with a left quad injury, 5 with a left groin injury, and now this is the first with a right groin injury. However, the Fever have played without her this season, obviously. They're 5-5 when she is not in the lineup. But in terms of Caitlin's health, not only the decision for tonight, but heading forward and looking ahead, well, Stephanie White just commented on that about half an hour ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just trying to keep her in good spirits. Had a lot of setbacks with all these little injuries, and we just have to take it one day at a time. It's frustrating for her, I'm sure, especially, and I think for us as a staff and as a team, just trying to keep her encouraged and trying to keep her to stay the course. The big picture is the most important. For her health and wellness, long term, and for our team, and to we've been very slow in making sure that every time she comes back that she's ready. So we'll continue to approach it like that. I mean, long term is the most important.
So again, she was also asked what the status of Caitlin was, if it was even discussed, of how she was going to handle this weekend. Is she going to be in the three-point contest? Is she going to start in the All-Star game? Stephanie White just kept it simple. We're keeping it day-to-day. They have not looked past this evening. But I will say, if she is unable to go in Indianapolis this weekend, all the spectacle that's going to be around that city, it's going to be tough without watching her compete, although she will, of course, probably be present at all of the All-Star festivities. But just a big blow, a big setback here, a bummer. You don't want to see this, not only as a Fever fan, but as a WNBA fan. So yeah, best of a speedy recovery for Caitlin as we head forward here, Dom.
No doubt frustrating. You saw the emotion on Caitlin Clark's face last evening. Eli Gain with the very latest out in New York. We're going to check back in with you a little bit later. later on. Great work, Eli. Again, look, the health status of Caitlin Clark top of mind for everyone. This occurred again during last night's game against the Connecticut Sun, a game the Fever won its third straight win, but here's how it all went down in Boston. That's right, this game was played at TD Garden, home of the Boston Celtics. It was tight all the way through, but the Fever pulled away late. 5 players in double figures. We heard Caitlin Clark say after the Wings game over the weekend, when that's happening, the Fever are extremely hard to beat. 85-77 your final. The Fever get it done over the Sun. This is what everyone's talking about, and Eli mentioned it. Late in the game, just over 30 seconds to go, Caitlin Clark coming up a bit gimpy. We've talked about it, favoring that right groin. She seemed to be in a lot of pain. That is not at all what you want to see. Frustration boiling over, and you can understand why. Stephanie White commented post-game last night regarding how this team continues forward without its superstar, something that's become a common occurrence this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just take it one step at a time. You know, we'll get some food and get on the plane and start talking about New York. And, you know, she's being evaluated. We'll see where we are with that. And certainly we'll have another evaluation probably in conversation in the morning, see where we are. But, you know, this group has played without her. You know, we've got experience in that. We know that we have a tough opponent in New York. We know that it's going to be a challenge no matter what. And we just got to get locked in and ready to compete.
This Fever team certainly tested without its superstar point guard. We're going to see how they fare against one of the league's best here tonight without her. So with all of that in mind, this game tonight marks the final contest of the first half of the WNBA season. Crazy, but we're already here. Where do the Fever stand right now in what has certainly been an up and down first half? So here are your WNBA standings as of right now. A couple more games to happen tonight that might shift things around, but the Fever right now sitting here 12-10 on the season, above 500 much of the season. Again, this is the 11th game without Caitlin Clark. A lot of injuries besides Clark as well. Not much stability. Still over 500, like I said, just 7 games back of the Minnesota Lynx, a team the Fever took it to, by the way, in the Commissioner's Cup final on the road, I might add. The New York Liberty, obviously one of the best teams in the league, sitting second right now. A great test right before the break, regardless of who's out on the floor. Shaping up to be a high-level matchup out in New York tonight. The Fever 6th in the standings as it stands right now. Don't you forget, WTHR, your local home of the Fever. We're airing 6 more games after tonight right here on Channel 13. Next up is the Fever hosting the Aces on July 24th. Then a stretch of away games you can catch on our air from August 5th through September 7th. You can find the full remaining games to watch on 13 over at WTHR.com/Fever. Don't you go anywhere. We're far from done here this evening. Fever All-Star Aaliyah Boston talks with us one-on-one about the first half of the season and looking ahead to All-Star Weekend. Our Fever pregame special continues in just 2 minutes.
You're watching WTHR, your local home of the Indiana Fever.
You most certainly are. Welcome back to our Fever pregame show. Listen, one of the most impressive players for the Fever this season, and really the entire WNBA, has been Aaliyah Boston. She's in the middle of her best season of her career this season as she's leading the league in field goal percentage, averaging 16 points per game, and yes, a now 3-time WNBA All-Star. We went one-on-one with Boston on this team's first half, All-Star Weekend here in Indy, and what to look forward to in the second half of the season. First half almost over. It goes so fast. All right, so first, physically, how are you feeling? How are you feeling about the team? I know it's kind of been an up and down, but there's been some really good moments with this team in the first half of the season.
Yeah, just exactly how you said. I feel like a season is never going to be perfect, and obviously the start of our season has definitely had its ups and downs, but I think what I love the most is that we continue to stick together, and we continue to, every single time we get in the gym, we compete for each other, and I feel like that's what we have to continue to do, especially going into the second half of the season, is just be ready every single night we get on that floor.
Defensively, I've heard Coach harp on that a lot, and that's when you guys are at your best. From your point of view, when are the Indiana Fever clicking on all cylinders? When are you guys at your best?
Yeah, I think it starts on the defensive end because the defense sparks our offense. We like to play fast, we like to play in transition, have the advantage, especially on the offensive end. And so I think for us, it's about making sure that we really hone in on getting stops, because giving them one shot, when we give teams multiple opportunities to score a basket, really slows us down, and that's not really when we're at our best.
And taking pride in that side of the ball, right?
100%.
All right, looking ahead to the second half of the season. Again, there's been really high highs with this team this season, and you've played really well, and there's been some low lows as well. It's kind of how the season goes, and let's not forget last year it was a slow start, and look at your second half of the season. The Fever were absolutely incredible.
what's something you can point to and say, all right, if we are doing this the second half of the season, we're going to set ourselves up for a really good second half?
I think it's just being consistent. I think we've had so many games where we've been consistent for 3 quarters, and then that 4th quarter we dropped off. And so for us, it's about consistency and making sure that we hold that for 40 minutes because teams are great. You can never take a team for granted no matter what their record is. They're going to come in and they're going to compete. And this league is one of the best leagues in the entire world. And so for us, it's like making sure that no matter what we do, we are consistent on both sides of the ball.
A buzzword for this team has been growth, right? Just kind of going, you want to be here when you come the end of the season. What's the biggest point of growth you've seen this first half, just from the beginning of the season till now? Because it hasn't been all that,
I
right?
think being resilient is our biggest growth. I think from the start of the season, we've had injuries that's taken us 1, 2, 3, all at different points. And so we really haven't had our full squad, but every single night we come in and we play and we compete and we play together. And I think that's exactly what defines us, is that growth, being resilient, and we just have to continue to do that.
All-Star game, obviously very exciting.
Yes.
Here in Indianapolis, you're an All-Star. First, does that ever get old? I mean, I know you have goals for yourself, right, and for your team. To be an All-Star, to be a representative as one of the best players in this league, that's pretty cool.
It never gets old. I think it's always exciting. It's always a blessing, especially being an All-Star now that it's in Indy this year. I feel like that's just even more special because our fans, they show up and they show out every single night, and so I know it's going to be super amazing when people come into town, they come into Gamebridge, and they're like, whoa, this atmosphere is unreal.
I know. We went to Phoenix a year ago, and there wasn't much signage going on, and we know how Indy does things.
Indy gets down.
Your home city,
down.
It's your home city. Like, you mentioned the fans, but how exciting is that? That's got to give you a little extra oomph already on top of being an All-Star.
100%. I think anytime you get to play in front of the home crowd, in front of people that might not get to see you play often unless you come into their city once or twice during the season. So you never take it for granted, and I'm super excited. I think everyone's going to enjoy All-Star Weekend.
Really insightful stuff from Aaliyah Boston. What a season she is having thus far. We can't talk about Fever without talking about Caitlin Clark. She joins us for a one-on-one to talk about the first half of the season, from injuries to offering support on the sidelines and the upcoming All-Star Weekend. It's all things you could ever want or ask for. Stay with us. We'll be back. Welcome back to our Indiana Fever pregame special ahead of tonight's game against the New York Liberty. It's been a trying first half of the season for Caitlin Clark. We've talked at length about it. Battling injury is not something the now 2-time All-Star is accustomed to. Before the latest injury of her right groin, we were able to catch up with Clark one-on-one on the mental battle of fighting through injuries, this team's first half of the season, and looking ahead to All-Star Weekend right here in Indy.
First thing, Caitlin, thanks so much for joining us. Physically, how are we feeling? I know it's been an interesting first half of the season.
It's definitely been an interesting first half. Feel good, just trying to do everything I can to be able to stay out there with my team and, help us get some wins and stack some wins. So, that's our goal going into All-Star break, is to be able to string a few together here and feel good going into All-Star break.
Missing games, not something you were accustomed to in your career. I'm sure you've gotten this question a lot, but there's a lot to be had from the sidelines as well, a lot of different perspective and everything like that. Was that difficult to not be out there with your teammates, A, and B, what was the biggest thing you took away from
Well, I'm
that
not going to say it's easy, because it's certainly not, and I've been trying to approach it in the most positive way I can, and I think it just gives you really great perspective on being a great teammate and being a great leader, and puts you in the shoes of maybe what your teammates have been through, and I haven't really been through that in my career, so you can't really understand that feeling unless you're really there living it. So just trying to be the best teammate and leader that I can be, and just also trying to learn and absorb. I think it's a unique perspective, watching from the bench and understanding the game from that perspective, and maybe what the coaches are seeing. I think I've been able to learn a lot.
Yeah. What was your biggest takeaway from your teammates and the way they performed this first half? There's been really high highs, there's been some low lows, but it's kind of been here. And let's not forget last year, you didn't start that great. Then look at your second half of the season; it was awesome. So, what was your biggest takeaway just on the floor? Maybe some growth they experienced as well.
Yeah, I think it's you try to look at it maybe in the best light possible. I think it's been great for them to learn how to almost play without me, and at times we're playing kind of in a different manner than maybe we would play when I am on the court. So I think the inconsistency of maybe switching back and forth is a little bit of a challenge for us when we're trying to figure out working me back into the lineup and working different rotations and things like that. But I think we try to view it in a manner of like by the time we get to the end of the season and we're hopefully reaching the playoffs, that this is something that was a positive for us and taught everybody a lot about themselves and only made every single person on this team improve. So obviously it has been a little up and down with certain injuries, and not even to myself. We've dealt with quite a few over the course of the beginning of the season, and we've been right there in a lot of games, and I think it's just learning from that and going forward. But there's still a lot of games left in the season, still a lot of opportunity for us on the table, and everyone knows that, and it's just how do we approach the next day.
I know Coach has harped on defense. I think it was after that July 3rd game, I want to say, against the Aces, he said, remember this feeling of when you play this type of defense, this is what's possible. When are the Indiana Fever at their best?
Yeah, I think it starts on defense for us for sure. And there's going to be nights where other teams make shots. Like, that's just reality. But you do everything you can to know the scouting report, to know personnel, to put yourself in a position to do the things that are in your control. And if we do that, I think we're going to be in a really great spot. But I think when we get stops on the defensive end, that leads to really good offense for us. It's hard to run offense in this league, no matter who you are, when the defense is set, just waiting for you. And I think that was a lot of what we faced, not only versus LA, but versus Golden State as well. So the more we can execute our scouting report and our game plan, I think the better it makes us on offense.
Absolutely. Okay, All-Star Weekend here in Indianapolis. We're all very excited about it. Last year was an awesome experience in Phoenix, but all right, this is like host city of all host cities, okay? Yep. How excited are you to be here at home and then, to be the top vote getter, to be an All-Star yet again? That's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it'll be really special to be able to do it in here. I'm assuming it'll be one of the best All-Stars, the W has ever had, and certainly the best to this point. Hopefully we were able to host quite a few after this, but just really thankful for Pacer Sport and Entertainment. I know they've poured, so much time, effort, money. So many people have volunteered, not only, in this organization, but just in the community, like wanting to make this event so amazing, not only because they care about the Fever, but because they care about the W, they care about this city. And, this is a basketball state. They want this to be a great event for everybody that's going to travel here. So I know it will be. I know there's going to be so much energy in this town, and there already is. And the All-Star game is not even here yet. So just really excited to welcome everybody here and have a great time.
We are so excited for All-Star Weekend here in Indianapolis. We heard Caitlin Clark talk about stringing some wins together heading into the All-Star break. The Fever, they've won 3 in a row. Can they make it 4 in her absence? We'll see. Eli joins us from New York live with 3 keys to victory. See if they can get it done. That's next. Stay with us.
Back in live to the Barclays Center for your final Fever minute before the Fever take on the New York Liberty right here at 7:30 in just less than 10 minutes from now. Once again, Caitlin Clark out with a right groin injury. It'll be the 11th game she will be missing this season as we approach the All-Star weekend. But still, for the Fever minutes, some keys for tonight's game, even with Clark out of the lineup. The first one, continue to lock down defensively. We've seen what this team has been able to do without Clark on the floor. They've been able to stop teams, be pests to your opponent, because the Liberty, they have weapons inside and out, so the defense will have to be on point this evening. Number 2, continue to distribute the basketball. The assists to field goal makes during this 3-game winning streak, 27 of 35 versus Atlanta, 30 of 40 versus the Wings, and 22 of 29 versus the Sun. It could be a little bit more different without Clark out there, but sharing is caring. Keep the ball moving. Lastly, head into the All-Star break strong. More adversity tonight with Clark out, but heading into the All-Star break with 4 straight wins instead of a loss could be huge in terms of momentum. And it is a tall task this evening. The New York Liberty, led by Brianna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu, Olympians. This team just won the championship last year. They're 14-6 this season, 1-1 against each other so far this year. Big task ahead in order for the Fever to get that 4th straight victory. But for now, at least until the end of the game, live from the Barclays Center. Dom, I'm going to send it back to you. Take us home.
Eli, you are a gentleman and a scholar. We'll see you post-game. Thank you so much, sir. We are counting down to tip-off right here on Channel 13. Fever and Liberty just minutes away. Our pregame coverage continues right after this.
You're watching WTHR, your local TV home of the Fever.
That's right. Our pregame special just about to wrap up with just a few minutes to tip off. The Fever hoping for another win to round out the first half of the season ahead of the All-Star break. We know Caitlin Clark is out again tonight due to that right groin injury. Not a huge surprise after seeing how much pain she was in last night at the end of the game against the Sun. Never something you want to see. With Clark out, here's a look at your starting lineup tonight. Arie McDonald getting the nod. Kelsey Mitchell, Sophie Cunningham in for Lexi Hall. Some switcheroo right there. Natasha Howard and Aaliyah Boston rounding out the starting five. We'll see if the Fever can get it done against one of the league's best. It's going to do it for us right now. The start of the Fever Liberty game coming up in just a minute right here on Channel 13. Join us after for the post-game coverage. We'll see you then.